All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Does everyone have something to take notes with? And you at home as well, make sure if you are listening, I know a lot of you don't have your cameras on. And I do a lot of online sessions. You will get way more out of this if you focus on what is happening and you take notes. I love to have your cameras on if at all possible. I know some of you that may not be possible, but please take diligent notes. Remember, education without implementation is merely entertainment. I hope this is entertaining. I hope it's fun, but more importantly, I hope you walk away with something that you're actually starting on either immediately after this session or tomorrow or the following day, or hopefully throughout the rest of the year. So what is the name of today's session? It's actually, there's two separate names we give it. One more deal. One more deal is the correct name. Everyone's calling it what?
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. That's it. Jade, I'm signing you in. So in the room, who has taken one more deal before? Okay, very good. Glad you came back. So what is the purpose that we're here for? What are we trying to do? Don't repeat the name of the session, please.
I was gonna say get one more deal.
We are. Now, many of us look at it though, we go, well, Eric, I've got one pending, I've got 3 pending, I've got 5 pending, whatever that is. One more deal is great, and I'm going to automatically do that. We're not talking about that. We're trying to generate new business. We're trying to find how we can actually, sorry, I'm just confirming people are getting in, that we can actually find new business so we can do different things. More importantly, today in this session, I'm talking to every single person that's here. This is an interactive session. It's what? Interactive. So speak up. I want to hear. It's going to be much more helpful, not only for yourself, but also for everyone in the session when you speak up and you talk to me and you express what you've learned over the years, how this has possibly changed you in the past, and what you want to actually change. Because probably whatever you're feeling, a lot of the other agents are feeling in this room. So yeah, make sure you're voicing your opinion. We're all here to learn. So how many of us have been in the business for more than a year? So you've experienced our Thanksgiving time frame. So Thanksgiving this year is November 25th. Why do you think that is significant to realtors?
That day specifically, or
Just Thanksgiving time. What
The
happens?
start of the holidays. People don't want to move anymore.
we're gonna wait till spring?
We're gonna wait till spring. We hear different things now, specifically in the industry. Between Thanksgiving, usually people take a vacation, right, for Thanksgiving. The real estate industry takes a vacation until about March 1st, right? It's from Thanksgiving until March 1st. Like, these offices are typically ghost towns when we talk about what Zig Ziglar talks about of wandering generalities. Who knows what a wandering generality is?
I feel like it's something generationally.
It's what?
Something generationally.
Sure. So tell me more what that means. Wandering generality.
A generation that moves in and out of phases.
So according to Zig, and I'm not giving much background on this, so I appreciate that. What Zig is talking about is there's 2 different types of people. There's meaningful specifics and wandering generalities, right? We've all experienced that in the walk of life in ourselves, right? There's been times where we've just kind of, whatever happens, happens. We're going to do fine and we're going to move on. And then there's a meaningful specific, right? Mike, what time did you wake up this morning? 4:50. Is that a wandering generality or a meaningful specific?
Meaningful specifics.
Meaningful specific, right? That means Mike's got a goal that he's hitting, right? Brian, what time are you in the office today?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, dead on 9 o'clock. He's here before 9 o'clock, actually. He's got a place where he's going. Now, there's other agents who are wandering generalities, and they just show up when they show up. They do what they have to do and move on. And there's nothing wrong, good, bad, right, or wrong. We've all been on both sides of this, I'm assuming. Is that correct? Absolutely, right? So the question is, normally, where's the industry flow? Wandering generality or meaningful specific from, again, Thanksgiving till March 2nd. We typically do. We used to have a clock on this board. We talked about it last week during coaching. Who remembers what that clock was? Pro time we talked about, and it was from 11 o'clock until 2 o'clock is what it was. That was pro time. What that meant is November, and in that case it was February. That's when you saw the agent in the office, those were meaningful specific agents, right? And we want to continue doing that. Now, in other industries, people just more or less be a wandering generality between Thanksgiving and then no. For some reason, when we're independent contractors, we do that. So we're going to talk about what effect that has on you and what that looks like. So if we are starting to feel that as an industry, forget the market, forget what's happening, the cool down, or honestly, what I see happening in the market is not even a big shift right now. It's typical seasonality. If this is your first, your second winter you're going into in the industry, this is common. Last year was not common. Last year we were still like ramping up. There might have been a very minor slowdown, and then it got crazy like right after Christmas. That's not typically what we see, and it's okay that we're having this minor slowdown. So expect that in the future. We're going to talk about some action we can take behind that. But when we talk about what we could do by the end of the year, I want us to really talk about what would it look like if you had an extra deal. I want you to write down how many pending deals you have right now. Those of you who coach with me, I know exactly what your pending deals are at all times. But even if you do coach with me or you don't coach with me, write down your pending deals. You have 1, 0, 5, 12. Now that's what we call our coast number, right? As long as we just close these deals, and probably 80 to 90% of them are going to close, we're going to end up with those deals closed and we'll make money from that. What would it look like? What's your average commission? You can write that down next. My average commission is $3,000, $5,000, $7,000. Our office average, if you're brand new, is going to be, I think it's $5,500 now. What would it look like if you had an extra 1, 2, 3, 4 deals? I mean, how many do you think you could put under contract and close by Christmas, by New Year? We're actually going to go over our coasting numbers and our reach numbers is what I would call that, a reach goal. But again, we have to separate these two items. Right now, Mike, we were just talking about your end of the year goal. You're 4 away from hitting your goal by the beginning that we set last year in November. We're 4 away. We know exactly what he has to do to hit that goal or possibly exceed it. And that's what we want to dial in today. So we're going to talk about our yearly goals. So what would you do for Christmas? What would you feel at Christmas? Go ahead and tell me if you had an extra deal, 3 deals. Are you going to pay off debt? Are you going to buy a car? Are you going to, what are you going to do? Jade's going to buy another investment property. Savings account. So what would it feel like if you had an extra $5,000, $7,000 that you made up? So we could do savings. What else can we do? 5, 7 grand. What is something you really want to do?
I'm buying a play set for my son.
There you go. That's meaningful. Play set. How much would that play set cost?
I've heard them costing anywhere from like $2,500 up to like $6,000, $7,000. Sure, they're not cheap.
Absolutely. And how many times does Madden have his second Christmas? Is this his first or second? It'll be his second. Right? So it's pretty meaningful to be able to push for these goals when we have that deadline. Like we've got Christmas ahead of us and see if we can get Madden his $7,000 place. Right? And what this does, we want to make sure we're getting these things guilt free, right? Many of us go like, I don't want to spend that type of money, right? I feel guilty spending it on myself. Now, when we are going after a goal, it is a different story. We're actually going after this. We're finding these things that we can actually go out and get and help others with, and for ourselves, our family, whatever that is. So what other items are we getting? Mattress. There you go. Yeah. What else?
Pay off the student loans.
Student loans. Yeah. I mean, if you have debt payoffs, in the investing session, I normally don't talk about paying off debt. I talk about investing first and then paying off debt depending on your rates of those loans. But if that's a goal you want, you can go and achieve these by finding new deals. And we're going to talk about how to do that. What else? We need some real ideas that we're excited about.
Sending my daughter to study abroad next semester.
Where would she go?
Florence, Italy.
Florence, Italy. How awesome would that be? What would that cost if you had to guess?
Oh.
$15,000. Now that seems like a lot of money, right? Something that an agent had years ago, she brought up she would like to go, and she said, I can't afford it though. I would like to go to family reunion. We had it in Las Vegas, and she would love to do that. It seems like, geez, because I don't have an extra $5,000, and literally we just changed her mindset. Find one more deal, and guess what she ended up doing? She found 2 more deals, and she ended up buying it, and then having the ability to do it. So normally I would say that's about 3 deals we have to do. Some agents are doing that in 1 deal. Some agents are doing 5, but that's an awesome goal. Anything else? And we should all have goals right now. If you're not writing down goals, then we're wasting our time. So have something that you want to go after. We all want something. You have a bag of cash on your countertop right now for 5, 10, 15,000, 30,000, whatever that is. What are you doing with it? What's that?
Vehicle.
Vehicle, new car, absolutely. Perfect. You could, by the way, go on vacation. I have some other ideas here. We talked about debt payoff already, but what vacation would you want to go on? Do that a month from now, a month and a half from now. Perfect. Now, to give you some examples of last year and the year before, we do this where we actually look at, again, our cruising number and then again our striving number. We have had agents who have found $40,000+ between now and the end of the year that they could realistically attain as long as they have their cruising number and close on their cruising number. What I mean by that is actually focusing on the people that are currently kind of working with us, right? They've mentioned that they might want to buy. We're going to extract those out of your memory today because there's probably people by the end of today that you forgot about that are actually interested in buying it or selling a home. If you're coaching with me, I hope that's not the case because we talk about your pipeline every week. But even if you are, I want you to really dig into these questions that I've got for us today. So yeah, that's 40,000 that they were already cruising with that they were able to get, plus whatever they strived for. So let's keep moving on here. No raise of hands, but I want you to write this question down and then answer it genuinely. Do I remember what my goal was for the year? Last year, during November, we have business planning clinic. Who went to business planning clinic last year? Everyone needs to go to some type of business planning clinic in November, October or November. I don't care when you do it. We need to have a goal, right? So really think about that. How many of us open up our notebooks? We do a business planning clinic. It's an 8-hour day typically. We focus on it. We're all psyched. We're hyped up. And then what happens with that plan for many agents? Notebook folds over, and then notes continue to happen. We never readdress it, right? We need to pay attention to that. That's something that we're going to be doing more one-on-one coaching clients this upcoming year, is really touching base every single week. Are we in alignment with our end of the year goal? Because we need to be focusing on that end of the year goal. I do want to, today, by the way, is going to be probably an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the questions and comments we have. I do want to really talk, though, about what is important about a goal. Why do we have goals?
Because it gives you something to strive for.
Gives us a target, absolutely. Who has heard the Zig Ziglar story about targets before? So there was an old guy who would shoot arrows, and some of you have heard this story, so bear with us. It's important for us to understand. There's a guy who would shoot arrows, and he was the best marksman ever. He could shoot a mile away and hit hit targets, I'm exaggerating, but he had all sorts of things. You could shoot upside down, you could shoot backwards, you could shoot all these different ways and always hit the target. And Zig would stand up in front of 1,000 people, 10,000 people, whatever it was, and he would go, I guarantee you, every single one of you, I could actually have you hitting the target with lessons with me with 1 hour. I could have you hitting the target more consistently than this guy could. Now, how many of you believe that? I'm glad that nobody raised their hand, because that sounds insane, right? And Zig would then say, go, well, guess what? I haven't told you that I'm going to blindfold that gentleman. That's really good. Spin him around 5 times, and then you're going to not be blindfolded and hit the target more likely than he could. Now, how many of us believe that? We all could, right? And we go, Zig, that's a stupid story. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. And he goes, yes, but how many of us don't know our goals and we're trying to achieve them? And that's his point. Why are we thinking that we're going to achieve these goals of $100,000, $200,000, $300,000? We're not achieving them. So we have to know what our goals are and be specific about them. Now, there's long-term goals and short-term. We are worrying mainly about short-term goals, right? There are 2 reasons why we're worried about short-term goals. I want you to write these down. Number 1, short-term goals are important because they give us quick results. We're going to talk about getting quick results and why that's important for us and our clients. Number 2, it gives us momentum. So what's important about November 1st? Talk about November 25th, but November 1st is also a pretty important date for the real estate industry.
Start of the new year.
Start of the new year. Mike's heard it a million times from me. So why is it the start of the new year for real estate? Right. We know where we are going to land. Right? We know where we're going to land at the end of the year because how long does it take to close a deal, Victoria? What's that? Usually takes a month to a month and a half, yet what do we have coming up? 3 holidays, 4 holidays, right? So again, all the industry, lenders, title companies are usually taking a little bit more time. So if we're putting something under contract by November 1st, we know where we land. So how many days do we have between now and November 1st? Right. And you could even lead maybe an extra week into November, maybe November 7th, we can get our deals going. So, yeah, we're going to talk about what we're going to be changing here. Perfect. So we know our goals for the year, but we know our short-term goal. We really can't modify. Our goal was to sell 50 homes during the year. Could we actually sell more homes and we're at 30 today? Are we going to sell an extra 20 between now and the end of the year? It's tough. Anything's possible, right? If you're Jim Gable and selling, I think he's got 62 deals pending right now, 64 or something like that. A single solo agent selling that many homes. Talk about working smarter, not harder. You could do that, right? But for our common average deal, chances are it's going to be hard to make that up. So we have 3 options every day when we wake up. And this is from Mike Ferry. Number 1, we can follow the goal. We could also change out goal for schedule, but we either follow the goal, modify the goal, or ignore the goal. Now, if we are that agent who is like, Eric, I sold 5 homes this year, my goal is to sell 40, we need to get rid of the guilt and say we're not selling 40. The question is, what can we do? Right, what can we do between now and again, November 7th? We're going to talk about what we can change here. Again, follow the goal, modify the goal, or ignore the goal. Ignoring the goal is rarely something I would recommend doing. You want to either modify or want to follow the goal. Now, those of you who are like, hey, I've got Jade is a great example of this. She's very, very close to her goal. She had a massive goal at the beginning of the year. We're looking for that extra 1 or 2 deals right now of how we can actually get there. So that's where we want to follow the goal, not let go of it, right? We want to strive for it. All right. Let's move on. So what can we actually change? What are the most important action items that we can actually change? I'm going to give you some ideas. I would write down all of these and you can pick and choose which ones you want or do all of them. The first thing that we typically have to change, you guys are gonna laugh at me, but it's gonna be mindset. I had another agent come back into coaching recently that she was struggling. I don't think she's on the session today. No, she's at work right now. I'll show you her email. She was struggling getting properties sold, and I want to show you her mindset change. She said, I need to get this going, and the mindset changed. So what time did that come through this morning?
5:03.
She sent me a movie at 5:03 this morning saying that she's going to wake up every single day. She's been waking up at 8 to 8:30. She felt guilty about it. Her mindset changed. She needed to change things. By 7:30, she's on the phones. She said today, she goes, Eric, by 8:30, I have accomplished more than what I did in the last week by 8:30 in one day. And she's starting to modify what she is doing. Like 5 o'clock in the morning, she's getting up almost as early as mine. But she's jumping in and getting things done. So our mindset, what time we can wake up is another one. How many of us need to change our attitude? Right? I'll look in the mirror there. The rest of us liars, right? What time, what time are we waking up? What time are we starting? What time are we genuinely starting our business? Are we starting our business? Or again, are we being a wandering generality? I'm not saying, by the way, that we all have to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm not concerned about the person that sleeps 4 hours a night and hustles all day. The question is, when you are awake, what are you doing? It's a better question. Don't feel guilty that you're not waking up at some super early time. Here's a big one. The time we spend with, what's it say in that back wall? God, family, then business, right? Many of us would raise our hands saying we believe that, right? We want that. Yet how many of our schedules actually reflect that? It's a better question. Are you really spending a lot of time with God, then family, then business? And who's going in your schedule first and who's coming out of it first when something changes? We need to change that. Also, while we are spending time with God and family and business, are we doing it guilt-free? Or when we are working on business, are we feeling guilty we're not with our family? And while we're working while we're with our family, are we working? Right? Or are we thinking about work? Are there things that are undone? We need to do this guilt-free. If we're not doing it guilt-free, not completing our task before moving on, we never are relaxing, right? I just had a big aha I wrote down in my notes, and it was some individuals relax to escape from tasks, and others relax to actually recharge. There's a difference in what that actual feeling is, right? How many of us have tried to relax just to get away from problems, right? We've all been there. And then the other times is like we're actually recharging. I'll never forget going on my wedding or my honeymoon, and just like I was able to just like let all of my problems go. Like I had everything to handle. I gave all the deals I had to an agent while I was out of town, and I felt guilt-free, enjoying time with my wife for an entire week. That's how we need to relax, right? But we can't do that until we're actually completed. Next one, obviously, what can we change? The money we make. How many books are we reading? What are we putting into our mind through podcasts? Super important. If you're not listening to podcasts or YouTube videos or something inspirational or motivational or learning from others, you're missing out on quite a bit right now. Many of you that coach with me know that I always am recommending different podcasts, or I'm hearing different podcasts we're listening to, and making sure that every week we're learning and growing. You can do this with your AirPods that should be with you at all times. And again, should be educational and also hopefully a little bit fun to listen to as well, but much better than just listening to music. All right, moving on. So let's go back to our goals, and then we're actually going to go through what we call the GROW model, which comes from Diana Kokoska. So what do we want to do by the end of the year? How many extra goals? I want you to write down your coasting goal and then also your reach goal, right? So my coasting goal is 5 deals, right? So you've identified all the coasting deals. And actually, why don't we do this right now, a quick exercise with Actually, no, we're gonna wait for another part of this. Yeah. So my coasting goal is 4 deals. 5 deals, 3 deals, 0, whatever that is. If I do nothing but close the deals that I currently have, not only pending, but I see that are about to happen, this is what I'll get closed by the end of the year. Now my reach goal, these are new deals that between now and November, call it 7th, between now and November 7th, you are going to find. What is your reach goal? So who wants to share some of those numbers?
My posting goal is 5 deals, my reach goal is 8 deals,
Is that 8 additional or 3 additional?
3 additional.
Okay, so your reach goal, the way we'll do it for today is your reach goal is gonna be 3 and your coasting goal is 5. So a total of 8 deals Portia's going to have by the end of the year. Portia, what's your average commission?
4,000.
$4,000 times 8 is
Oh,
$32,000. Right, by the end of the year. Who else has some numbers?
Four and four.
Wow, so 8 total as well.
Eight's my reach.
8 is 8, yeah, 8 total is the reach with the reach. Okay, what else?
My posting is 8 for Q4 and reach is 2, so 10.
10 deals, fantastic. All right, I think that gives us an idea. A lot of us are doing an extra, but not just one more deal, but an extra 2, 3, 4. Now I would actually write down, my reach goal will allow me to do this. Maybe it's put money in savings if I remember right. Additional 10 grand in savings, 5 grand in savings, 20, whatever it is. It is really important. When we talk about SMART goals, what am I talking about there? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, right? Without a relevant goal, we are wasting our time. We're just putting numbers on a board. That's the same thing when somebody goes, I want to make $100,000 a year, Eric. It's not a relevant goal. We're looking for what will this actually do for you and your life and your family. If you don't have that, again, we are wasting our time. It's like lead generating without lead following up. All right, so that's our reach goal. Now I want to actually write down some statements, and I want everyone to understand this as well. Affirmations without actions are the beginning of delusion. Everyone loves affirmations, and so do I. I agree 100% with them. What does that mean, though? Affirmations without action are the beginning of delusion.
Your goal without.
It is. It is. Victoria, you seem like it hit a chord with you.
Yeah, I haven't thought of like that. It's kind of like I mentioned. Faith that works is dead. That's kind of what I thought of. So basically, you can have the affirmation of saying it, but you're not taking any action. It's like you're kind of hallucinating.
You're living in a
Not
fantasy.
just that too. I feel like you're losing the value of having your word because you're just saying it, but you're not doing anything. So now your word's kind of just going down because you don't even do something.
That was very well put. And I want us to think about what faith means. Now, there's faith in the religious aspect. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about just genuine faith. What does faith actually mean?
So believe in something that you can't see.
Absolutely, 100%. So how many of us have faith that we can get another 2 to 3 deals, or are we just writing that down and going, that looks cool? We don't have faith that we can do this. Again, we are wasting our time. So the other thing that's actually harmful, remember, what we say yes to, we're saying no to something else. Victoria's point, if you listen to her closely, she said, I can't remember how you said it, Victoria, it was very well put though. It was something about, I almost stopped believing in myself, right? Will we take the action when we leave this meeting today if we don't even believe that it's attainable? We should stop there, and I won't spend much time on this, but I do think that you should actually come back to this and go, can I actually find an extra 2, 3, 4 deals? And do I believe I'll do the actions necessary? Perfect. All right, so we're going to take, again, what a lot of people write down as affirmations, and then we're going to modify them into what I call real life. So the fun one would be like, I want to quit my job, or I want to think about that, right? Another one could be, it would be neat to get Madden a playset. It would be neat to get $5,000 in my bank account. Real life, what I want you to see doing is, I'm going to get my tax returns to my lender and figure out what the monthly payment looks like for a new house. I'm going to go shop for a new car and actually go spend time this week and go see what that new car looks like. I am going to price out what a vacation to Hawaii looks like and actually get a physical number in front of us. That is what is truly important about our vision, not because it's some esoteric thing happening, but it puts a goal in front of us that we understand what we're trying to achieve and why we're trying to achieve it. You could have discussions with your family about if you do want to modify the house, what that would look like, but actually creating a vision is important. I want to spend time with my family at home for a week. How would I feel? That's a fun one. The second part, a real life scenario, would be discuss with your family when they could take off work, when they could take off school, and put it in the schedule and come up with a time you could actually take it off guilt free. Perfect. So again, that's our goal. So our grow model, by the way, I'm going to give it to you. Many of you that I coach, I do this without actually stating it, but this is actually a model. It's called your goal, reality, what our obstacles are, and then our willing or weighing forward, GROW. And goal, reality, obstacles, or will or weigh your way forward. So the reality. Now, some of you know this. How many deals have you closed this year? Plus, how many are pending? Some of you that coach with me already know these numbers, so just hang with us. How many deals have you closed this year? Some of us don't know that number. You should be paying attention. Plus, how many do you have for your coasting number? Plus, what do you see as your stretch number? That's our reality, right? Okay, now we're actually going to dig a little bit deeper into how we actually look at this and dive into it. I want everyone to write down these names that you end up coming up with on your own. But Mike, because we've done this recently, let's actually go with yours if you're all right with that. Sure. So right now, Mike, what are the names and names of the people that you know are your, I believe you have 3 that you're like confident they're going to close here soon.
Yeah.
So what are the names or the street name?
177. Dunbury.
There was so in Mike's defense, he said he had 2, and then he's like, I think there's a 3rd that I might be able to get. Give me 1 second. That's fine. So Mike's going through his buyer and seller pipeline. Who has a buyer and seller pipeline you could actually show me? You don't have a pipeline unless you actually can show me. Perfect. I want you all to look through that and say, how many do I think would go under contract by November 7th? And I want you to write down those names, and you'll see why this is important here shortly.
Rush.
Rush. Okay. Now, what is the GCI you have roughly? Just if you don't have to get specific.
Roughly 5,000 across the board.
Okay, that's easy. Now, Mike, take out your pipeline. It's already in front of you. Fantastic.
We're using DCI for this, right?
Correct, GCI. So that's what we call our coasting goal. Again, we're looking at reality. Now, those of you who have a pipeline, great. The ones that don't, you're going to get more out of this exercise. Because there are people that you currently know that are going to buy or sell. You're going to be really upset on Christmas when you see them and they tell you, guess what, Jade, I just bought a house. Who's ever had that feeling? Is it great or is it terrible? And they're so excited to tell you, by the way, right? So we want to make sure that we are protecting ourselves. Whose fault is it when they do that? It's our fault. Yet, who do we blame? We love to just be like, you jerk, how did you do this? Right? We've all been there, but it's our fault. There's a reason why they didn't buy with us. You need to dig deep and figure out why that is. Chances are you just didn't contact them. Probably 80% of the time, that's all it is. All right, so Mike, going through your buyer and seller pipeline, your stretch goal is to have an additional 5 on top of this, correct? Yeah, 4 and 4. So do you have a slot for number 3 in your current pipeline? You can say, yep, I can see this person going.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that name?
Kenner down. KENNERD.
N-N-E-R-D-O-N. What's their phone number?
Their phone number?
Just kidding. So everybody's like ready to write this. All right, so now let's fill in our blanks. Now this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. We're modifying our goal, by the way, right now. Mike's had a goal and he's been going after it yet. This is the first we've talked about actually putting an extra 4 on the board, right? So, Mike, how often do you lead generate?
Yeah, let's call it 4 days a week.
4 days a week. We appreciate his honesty. And how many hours per day are you genuinely lead generating?
Let's call it an hour and 45 minutes.
And how long does that hour and 45 minutes actually take?
It's a trick.
How much time am I actually on the phone?
How many
or-
hours are you actually saying that you're lead generating when it takes you an hour and 45 minutes to lead? That you're actually getting an hour and 45 extraction out of it. My point is, many of us get distracted while we're lead generating.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah.
So are you taking 2 hours or 3 hours a day to get that hour and 45 minutes?
No, I'm taking an hour and 45. Okay, so let me re-answer the first question.
Sure.
Call it an hour and an hour and 45.
Got it. So I want everybody to be aware when we're actually putting out goals, it looks one way, but when we actually execute, we know what actually comes out different. And that's okay. You can either be more efficient or, what's that? Or less efficient, yes. You can be more efficient or you take more time, right? You can just take 2 hours to do 1 hour of lead gen, or take 4 hours to do 2 hours. When we look at it that way, all of a sudden, what does our mind do? I need to be more efficient, right? So Mike's already doing that. What are you going to do additional? How are you going to target 4 more deals? We'll just say we can either categorize it for sale by owner, we can do prospecting, we can do a bold 100. What are you going to do to go after this striving goal?
I think my first thought is, okay, instead of spending an hour and 45 minutes, maybe spend 2 hours and actually utilize that entire time of dialing rather than.
So we're going to become more efficient.
Correct.
All right, what is an action that we can actually do to make sure you're more efficient? What are the distractions that get in your way?
Distractions.
Number one, it's always mindset, right?
Yeah.
Look in here.
Yeah. I mean, incoming calls from other deals.
So you could put reactive time in your schedule, meaning you lead generate, you're not allowed to return a phone call until you're done lead generating. Now, many of us will say, well, I've got to clear out my voicemail. So clear out VM first, right? Next one's going to be put reactive time in schedule. What else? What else can we do to make sure we're efficient?
You gotta hit like a daily goal. I mean, big goal is an extra 4. What you gotta do each day to make sure you're getting to that 4.
Mike, do you have a daily goal?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, you do. How many of us have, I'm not asking you to raise your hand. If you don't have a daily goal, write it down, that I need to make 10 phone calls a day, 10 contacts, 20 contacts, 40 contacts. Mike's goal right now is how many appointments. And the other item, like we just discussed yesterday, was we have appointments and pipeline. 2 pipeline a day is what Mike's goal is. So if he's looking for 2 more people that will transact with him in the next year, right? So efficiency is probably the best place to start on this. I'm going to say 1 more deal for being more efficient, right? We have a couple weeks to become more efficient. We're going to possibly raise your effectiveness by 40 to 50%. If you actually take these on, which I'm sure you will. What's the next item going to be? What's another item we can do?
Wait, so the number one is basically efficiency.
Be efficient. Now, if you're not actually doing anything though, we can't be more efficient at doing nothing. I guess we could be, but that would be useless. We want to become more effective, right? The best way to do that is to be more efficient. If you watch the top agents, it is unbelievable. I speak about Michael King years ago when I shadowed him, and I got up. I was at his house at, I can't remember, it was like 7 a.m. when he got back from his workout. And literally from 7 a.m. until 4 o'clock that day, there was always something being done. He had me filling out between a 5-minute drive. I was in the passenger seat filling out information for the listing that we were inputting, or that his assistant was inputting, but he didn't want to wait to get back to the office. He just said, here, Eric, fill this out. I'm going to give you the description of the listing. How many of us have taken an hour to fill out a listing description? He did it in 2 minutes. We can do that when we are efficient, and we have a good assistant as well. I'm sure that the assistant modified all of the typos I wrote while I was in his homework at that point. All right, so what's the next item we're going to do, Mike?
I feel like this might go with efficiency, but tell me, like, have more purpose with these calls that you're making, as opposed to getting a contact, like actually like ask for the order, ask for the appointment, and not just set it up for a follow-up, but actually be a lot more bolder in your scripting. And
Yeah. So asking for the order is really big. There was an agent, I can't remember, I think it was Jim Gable, that we said you have to ask for the order, and he ended up setting, it was something like 1 or 2 appointments that week when he did it. But we have to be closing on these clients, or we forgetting why we are doing this. So it's neat to bring that up, right? That's entertaining, yet what's effective. We get a partner, maybe Ryan, who's sitting next to you every time, like Ryan has done very often. He'll get you back on the phone and say, call that person back. You didn't close with that person. Ryan, what was that story? You did that, was that to Mike?
yeah.
And you got a for sale by owner appointment?
Yeah, it was for sale by owner appointment. I got off the phone with them and I said, geez, I should have asked them next time you're in the area, like, can I swing by? Because he was like, I'm not making a special trip just to meet you. So I said I should have just asked him, hey, next time you're in the area, when's the next time you're going to be in the area, so I can just meet you then.
Yeah.
And Ryan said, he took out his phone, put 3 minutes. He's like, if you're really bold, in 3 minutes you'll call that guy back. Yeah, ask him that question. So I just called the guy back, and he's like, well, I'll be there tomorrow. I'm like, great, I can meet you at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I got the listing. So
that's a perfect example of why we use what we call the rule of 3. Set a timer for 3 minutes and execute whatever you have been delaying, right? Right there, we're giving you efficiency, actual tasks you can take. How much did Ryan make you during that call?
$6,000. Thank you.
Right, so we should hear 2 different things. One, being efficient, using the 3-minute rule, and also surrounding us with other people who are like-minded, right? Get into an environment that will support you. I've shared the story before, and those of you who haven't heard it, when I was 19 and getting started in real estate, I would get all dressed up. I worked out in an office that had no idea how to actually prospect, so I would prospect from home. And my family's computer, because that's how we were back in 2005, we all had family computers, right? So I would then log into RedX with my cup of coffee. I was all dressed up, and right around from the family computer was a recliner. And there's my dad drinking his coffee in his pajamas. Do you think I feel like a real estate professional? No. Those of you who say I want to call from home all the time, I don't care if you do or don't, but I want you to use that example and say, will I actually execute? I give the challenge all the time when somebody goes, Eric, I can call from home. Fantastic. Come back to me in a week and show me the amount of contacts you've made. I'll let you continue to call from home if you're doing that. If not, go ahead and come into the office. Guess what happens day 2 typically?
Back at the office.
I'll come to the office here, right? We need to make sure that we are in an environment that supports us. All right, so we've already, by the way, given a 30 to 40% higher results by just being more effective. No more time. How many of us believe we can be more effective by just, get better results by just being more effective? right? More efficient is, I guess, of course, we're gonna be more effective, but if we're more efficient, we're gonna get that done. All right, number 3, what's your third deal coming from?
Broadening my prospecting area. So like today I was calling all the way out in Ashfield County.
Okay,
As opposed to just like having a small radius of where I'm calling.
okay. Now the fourth one, Mike, many of us don't prospect to for sale by owners or expireds. How many of us do not? So we all do it? Not efficiently. So we've already attacked some efficiently items, right? Let's look at how we can actually do this with our sphere or database. What's something you're currently not doing that you could do? That's the question we're looking for today. What is something you're currently not doing that you could do to actually get another 1, 2, 3 deals that on Christmas Day, Madden's got that $25,000 play set. Jesus, I just raised that.
You can do that bold script where you're like, I'm in a competition, I need you to help me.
I will never do that again.
Well, we could put a bold script. We can do a bold 100. And what we do, Pat Mancuso talks about this. He goes, how do you know you will hit the number? And there's one answer. It'll go around the whole room with bold when you used to do it. How do you know you're going to hit this deal? And people would give ideas and all of this and that. And he would go, it boils down until somebody would go, the word until. I will do this until, I'll do bold 100s until I find that deal. That's when you actually make it happen. Now, I do not encourage you doing bold 100s every day until Christmas, until you get the deal. If you don't know what a bold 100 is, that's 100 conversations in one day. That is phenomenal. So what else can we do? What are some other ideas? We can give all these to Mike. We're gonna have him hit another ideas. So bold 100, we can do it 3 days a week or something like that, or twice a week. What else? Brian is going to be sending out Happy Thanksgiving cards, right? This is something that he wasn't planning on doing, he is now doing. So you could just do Thanksgiving cards. You don't want to spend money, what can you do? Call. Right? It's a phenomenal time this time of the year that people just want to have quick discussions. Some other ideas. Ryan, what are you doing with your sphere? Can you tell us?
Yeah, just doing group activities.
So what are some examples of some group activities?
I hosted a poker night, and I have a Hollow Week at Cedar Point coming up. I did kayaking during the summertime.
And
like you just plan it and
Yeah.
invite people.
I just picked different groups of people. Like one was a friend from high school. I got him and his whole sphere that I'm not really close with to join that poker. Like all got excited, food, everyone coordinated it.
how many people showed up to that?
There was 9 people.
Okay, and you were the hub of,
All I did
What
was
up?
throw out a message, and then someone put a Facebook group together, and
Yeah.
they created this whole event. So yeah, everyone is down for it.
what's the result you've had from doing this?
3 buyer leads. One had a kid. Oh, my house is too small. You're in real estate housing market.
Yeah.
Or my mom's looking to sell it. You know, it's,
Yeah.
naturally it just comes up.
Those items should be things that you would go to even when you're tired at night, right? They want to be something not like a buyer seminar, right? Like if you were like, hey, I'm gonna have a buyer seminar tonight, and I'll go to that, but I don't want to be sold on something. If Ryan's not there to sell anything, naturally, when we are real estate agents, people come to us and want to know about the market. Market's doing great, it's doing terrible. I don't care, let's talk about it. But yeah, something else you can do is have conversations to people that are looking to spend their money on investments. You all know individuals that actually have a substantial amount of money and they are sick and tired of getting a 5% return. I just heard somebody put their entire life savings in a CD. They do like 0.5%. If you've taken my investing session, you know you're actually losing money by making 0.5%, especially this year. Who knows what inflation is supposedly this year? Supposedly 6%. 6%. That means the government. I think it's even higher than that. look at, I'm ordering garage doors, they have over doubled. Right? So either the dollar has been cut in half or the value of aluminum has doubled. I think there's a little bit of both there. But the point is if you're making 6% this year on your investments, you are doing nothing but breaking even. It may look awesome, but you're doing nothing but breaking even. All right, here's some other action items I wrote down. I want you to all, and we're actually going to take some actions right now. If you have these items, but we're actually going to do some other ones. Who do you know? I want you to write down these names. Who do you know that has stated they may want to buy a home that is not currently in your pipeline? Write these names down. We're actually going to shoot them a quick text. It's going to be super not painful. Those of you who coach with me, we go over this all the time. You don't need to go over it. Keep forgetting this camera's on too. All of you at home, write down these names. Who is somebody that's expressed to you? Maybe you were at a party. Think of a recent party you were at, or a gathering, or somebody that shot you a text that you have not responded to. Tammy Youngs talks about when she wrote down a name in the car and slid between the seats, and she paid her son to clean her car out, and her son with a big smile came up to her because she's a bowl coach and said, "Mom, how much money does this one cost you?" And yeah, that one hurt because I think it was like $7,000 commission she lost, and when she called that buyer, it was gone. Yeah, how many of us have been there before? So think of those people. There's probably that note underneath your car seat right now. In an example, obviously, hopefully not underneath there, but you get the point. Somebody in your mind. So what are those buyers? What are those sellers, obviously? Who is an agent that you could reach out to that would refer you business? I did this exercise with Pat Barnum recently, and we ended up coming up with like 25 names you could actually reach out to. It was unbelievable. We just went through. Another action item you can do later, go through your entire Facebook. Like this could be a fourth or a fifth or a sixth deal. Go through your entire Facebook and think who would possibly be interested in investing or buying in the next year. You can probably extract one person out of that 700,000, whatever you got there. Instagram, phone contacts, right? I just gave you probably the list of all of you. Of 1,000 people, I bet you one or two of them, you don't even have to think twice. They probably are interested in buying or selling. They've been in their house. You know they had kids. You know that they just got married. Typically, people who are getting married or have kids do what?
Have bigger house.
So who right now do you know that's getting married or is having kids? You might want to touch base with them. You don't want to see them at Christmas and hear that they bought with someone else. By the way, you might not be their closest friend. You always think that, yet all of a sudden, oops, didn't realize your friend, your college roommate was with you. But if you contact them more, remember the 3 pillars that we always have to give to buyers and sellers. It's going to be, do they know we care about them? Can we actually help them? And do they trust us? If you build those 3, you're always going to win. Some other ideas. I want you to think of the person that if you were not able to reach out to your family to solve a problem, who would you reach out to? So this could be a problem of you have a sewer backup at your house, you have a plumbing issue, you have a car that's broken down. Those individuals usually talk to everyone. Who are other people that talk to everyone that know their lives? Hairstylists. I became close with my hairstylist, and he's referred me 4 buyers in the last 3 months. I'm sorry, 4 buyers and sellers. It's ridiculous.
Pretty good.
He's in Stowe. It's a long drive. So who is that person? I want us to actually reach out and talk to them. We already talked about going through our phone. Who have you given business to recently? Write these names down. This could be a contractor, it could be a lender. Lenders are great to talk to. I bet you right now Sean's listening to the conversation saying, please don't knock on my door, we won't know who to give it to. But honestly, you should reach out to Sean. You should reach out to Chris. You should reach out to whatever lenders you're working with. Maybe a lender you haven't talked to in a year. They're trying to rekindle that relationship with you, I bet. Car mechanic. Who are you giving business to? Remind them when you call them, hey, how was that deal that I gave you over on 123 Main Street, or did you end up putting in the flooring at that house? By the way, I'm just curious, I'm trying to get more business coming in, who you know is buy, sell, or invest in real estate, usually people like you know. I always throw that statement in there, and it's an assumptive statement, right? It's like, who do you, I assume you already know because you're already dealing with that. Another good one for your clients when you're talking to them at Thanksgiving, Christmas, is usually everyone I talk to, there's 2 or 3 people looking to buy or sell a home. Who do you know? That's much better than just saying, I'm curious if you know of anyone, let me know. They'll just say no. The same Best Buy script I talked about, people just say no. But if you ask them, most people know, it'll help. What are past clients that absolutely love you? We've all had clients that we absolutely love working with that we haven't talked to in maybe 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years. Those clients will work with another realtor when they sell their home if you don't talk to them. And 2, they would probably love to refer you business. 1, without saying this, is probably the same person. 2, who has referred you the most business as a past client? Reach out to them as well. Hopefully you're in touch with them already. So perfect. Now we are actually going to take time right now as we speak and start sending out texts to these individuals. I want everyone picking up their phone. I will walk over to your table and check on you if you're not texting or calling. If you want to do either one, that's fine. We're only going to do this for about 5 to 10 minutes because we have some more content to go over. But this is not time to text our moms and ask them how we're doing. Okay? So I don't mind if you text your mom asking for a referral. We need to actually take action. I'm doing the same thing. Everyone at home too, I can see through the camera. We're watching. Home inspectors too, by the way. Really big one as well right now. Who are people that own a lot of real estate that are willing to sell off some homes? Ask them. You'd be shocked at how many investors are selling off. So just ask them, I'm looking for investors that are looking to sell homes. Are you considering selling any? I just got 6 deals that way. 7, I'm sorry. What agents are on even the west side or the east side, depending on where you're coming from or where you're listening from, that you've built a relationship that they don't want to travel that far away. I just got another 3 actually. An investor. There's some people that you're probably scrolling through right now going, I don't know if they'll have anything. Shoot them a quick text. All right, 2 more minutes. Again, who's that person you've referred business to? Could be a contractor, could be an attorney. Attorneys are great to touch base with. Who knows everyone? School teacher. Who's a school teacher you haven't talked to in a while? Either somebody that taught you or somebody previous, somebody that you know that's a school teacher. Who's that client that you haven't talked to in a while? All right, you can go ahead and finish up your texts. What we're going to do is we're going to pause for some ahas, and then we're going to go over the last 2 parts of the session. I'm curious though, has anyone had a response yet? I had 3 homes. Brian, what'd you get?
I got, a quick response.
Very good. Is it a lead yet, or?
He was somebody I forgot about, and he's not, he's gonna wait another year.
Got it.
Circumstances, but he
Yeah.
responded.
Keep in mind too, pushing forward of the efficiency back to Mike's, pushing for the close, right? Asking for the order. Those people that are responding, like Ryan had, like, dig a little bit deeper. Why are they waiting a year? Why are they waiting a year and a half? Maybe the guy has a job transfer the next year. Sure, fine, we're gonna wait a year. Maybe he's just saying, I'll wait for the market to get better. Even if the market slows down and prices come down, what's probably gonna happen to interest rates? Usually interest rates go up. If that happens, we want to actually calculate what that looks like for the buyer, right? Anyone else have any responses yet?
Just 2 people said they'll put the word out.
There you go, yeah. Now, during Bold a couple of years ago, who knows who Kobe Socher is? Kobe shared the time that he went to Bold, and how many times do we go to Bold and hear the same thing every time, right? Bold is teaching us the same thing. It's the same thing over and over and over. Yet Kobe kept going back. There was an exercise where we did this same break. We reached out to everyone we knew. He would have not made that phone call. He would have forgotten about that guy. He ended up making something like a $36,000 commission because he did that exercise. Action. We have to be thinking about this all the time. We just did 10 minutes and we just heard of 3, 4, 5. Sorry, I think there was 4 between you and Ryan. Or she had 2 people. Yeah, so we did have 5 total. 5 total. So 5 total average commission in 10 minutes in this group. We just possibly made the total potential. I wouldn't say this will actually come to fruition, but total potential of $25,000 of commission. It's ridiculous. So another one who, what for sale by owner or who's in your pipeline you haven't talked to in a while. All right. So what ahas have we had from the session? Go back for your notes. Share what you've learned so far, and then we'll finish up with a couple more items here.
That coasting goal thing.
What's that?
The coasting goal, the reach goal.
Sure.
Me, I'm kind of like just going.
There is something to be said of just reaching as high as you can every day.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes we get clouded by not realizing that, there's probably more in us. What else?
Reaching out isn't, you think you're more annoying than the person you're reaching out to actually thinks you are. So just sending a quick text isn't as annoying as you think it's going to be.
How many of us hesitate to actually make calls because we feel like we're annoying someone? It's 100% true. I mean, if somebody's that annoyed with us, they're just not going to respond to your text. And even when they don't respond, sometimes they're just busy. They don't want to talk to us. They're in the middle of a meeting and they forget to talk to us. So it's not the end of the world. Very good. Thanks for sharing that. What else?
We have more control over like our situation, like what we can change, our mindset, what time we wake up, what time we start calling, who we call.
That's probably the most powerful thing for everyone. If you want to actually take momentum on it, like just do it like Bonnie did this morning. Woke up at 5 a.m. She had to send a text or an email by 5:03 and both yesterday and today, 5:03 emails.
I love the meaningful specifics and handling generalities. That's really stands out. And then also your point about the vision and taking it a step further to see, okay, what's the price tag for my vision? It's a trip. How much is the trip?
Right. Not just saying I want this item. Put it in front of you that you have a real vision of what this is going to cost, what it's going to do. What other ahas have we had? The 3-minute rule, that can be very impactful. It can be $6,000 impactful. Right? We want to actually just hit that timer, and if you have a partner that can hold you accountable, if you're on a team, have your admin do that. So, very good.
Looking at it in terms of like the number too. Like if I don't call this person, what number am I potentially losing as far as money instead of just it's only one deal? Like,
Right.
Is it a $10,000 deal? Because then it's a little bit more meaningful.
I have one appointment that probably to this day has made me, if you include my education, it's way, way, way more than that. But I would say in actual dollars in my bank account, probably $150,000 to $200,000. So if I would have ignored or just not gotten back to that person, not to mention how the effect is further on, like who else are you affecting through that person? And, if I'm up here teaching the session, giving you those ahas, like you're affecting everyone in the room, then it's crazy. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. All right, so let's talk about real world obstacles, and then that's the last 2 part of the grow. And I apologize. I think somebody put out there that this was an hour session. It's actually an hour and a half or 2 hours. So if you do need to take off, I'm not going to be hurt. So do what you need. All right. So again, what is our grow model? Goals. What is our goal?
Reality.
Where are we today? What is our reality, right? We're on obstacles now. So I want you to think about, and we already mentioned some of these, but I want you to think about about for yourself. What are some obstacles you are actually going to have, right? So are you going to have the obstacle of, I'm not going to be efficient enough? It's not okay to just identify the problem. I just saw a comedian yesterday say accountants always know where the problem is, but they don't know how to fix it. That's what engineers do. We want to actually identify problems and know how to fix it. So we don't want to just say, oh, I'm not efficient enough. I'm not efficient because when I start to make my calls, all of a sudden I feel unmotivated and I just need to go grab a cup of coffee and then 20 minutes goes by. So yeah, there's actually a study done that's actually a little bit reverse I was listening to this morning. So if you do have trouble procrastinating, there's something called the 5-minute rule, 5-second rule from Mel Robbins. You can look that up. There's something else I learned today, which is pretty unique. Typically when we're procrastinating, it's because we are fulfilling the feeling of delayed guilt over time. So what they said was, let yourself do the item, whatever that is that you're procrastinating. Like if you want to procrastinate, look at Facebook. Set your timer for 10 minutes and guilt-free look at Facebook and say, when that timer goes off, I will start this item. I would encourage you to try the 5-second rule. If that doesn't work, then go to that one. There was a long explanation, which was actually, it made a lot of logical sense. Remember though, not everything that's logical is actually true. Typically conventional wisdom is typically wrong, but I did like that idea. It's another exercise, like do something different if you are struggling with procrastination. So what other obstacles are we going to have? We don't have the list to call, right? We don't know who to call. What other obstacles are we going to get?
Probably working on a script because they're going to give you the same thing, like it's the holidays coming, I don't want to. So being prepared with
Scripts, yeah, super important. That's the 5th item of the 5 money-making activities that most experienced agents just gloss over anymore. When you get good at your scripts, that's all this business is. Saying the right things to the right amount of people, right? Appreciate you bringing that up. Something we definitely want to do. The top of the top still are always working on their scripts. Here's even a big one that I see all the time. What are the reality situations that we get when we start making our calls? Number 1, nervousness. Just have to overcome it. Number 2 is I don't have my phone charger. The amount of times I've heard somebody get up, start making their calls, and all of a sudden go, I don't have my phone charger. Guess what? I look at their phone and it's what full? 85% full. We're going to do. Do we really need to worry about our phone charger? The amount of questions I've heard at family reunion to agents who make calls daily, what headsets do you use? These are all distracting questions that make no sense whatsoever. They are excuses, right? There's one app on your phone that's the most important. I always say, and it's that green one right at the bottom. We don't need new apps. We don't need new telephones. We don't need any of this other stuff. We need to make our calls. Or I don't care if you're direct messaging on Instagram. I don't care if you're on Facebook sending out messages. Posting on your stuff though is not really going to help gain traction. We need to actually have communication with individuals. That could be something too that you want to do. You're going to send out 20 direct messages every day to people about Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you're going to do. What other obstacles?
we have a tendency in the office to like sidetrack each other with like unrealistic real estate related stuff. So we were just talking about like giving ourselves a half hour when we first see each other and like talking about whatever we want to talk about. And then once that time is up, the rest of it has to be dialed prospecting. We don't acknowledge each other.
That's a real world scenario.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Heidi and I were just talking about this recently too. It's like it's so easy, and honestly, good distractions are harder than bad
For
distractions.
sure. Yeah.
Right?
Wait, what did you say again?
Well, like we've known each other since elementary school. So
Okay.
like when we're next to each other, it's really easy to just go off on tangents.
Other families
Or yeah, whatever,
People we
stuff that's
know.
not gonna make us any money. So like we did it yesterday, I looked at the clock, it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I hadn't even started dialing yet. I'm like, shit. You know, so actually setting a timer, we have 30 minutes to talk about whatever we want, and then after that, we're dialing and we're not acknowledging each other that we're even in the same room until we've hit like our 100 dials a day.
Yeah.
Unless it's really soon.
You can actually put signs on each other's back. I don't have the self-control to not talk to you,
Yes.
so please don't talk to me.
Right.
There's an agent who used to do that.
That might be yes.
But yeah, it's very true, right? And those are the real things that get in our way, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the, crazy scenarios. This is actually what's a problem. Something else you can do is change your environment during that time. Something we used to do is we used to go over to Davis Bakery every now and again, and we would actually get there early, enjoy some coffee and whatever else they had, and then come over to the office. It was an enjoyable, fun experience, and it got us ready. So if you want to do that, you can do something like that as well. Perfect. If you do find something to get yourself back on task. Like if you do start wandering off, have either a converse, like a certain word that you're going to tell the other person, like, oh, time on task again, like let's get back to it. And you both kind of respect it. When you see all of us pulling together, you'll notice sometimes we just interrupt each other. Like we'll be on a dialer, and we all know to respect each other. That if somebody picks up, I can't go like, hold on, Ryan, I've got somebody on the phone. Like it's just we pick up and go, right? We all kind of respect that. Very good. Something else is you can get fired up about. There's all sorts of daily. Jeff Glover's got the daily text, right? So Jeff Glover, if you sign up with his online program, I don't think you have to pay for it. It'll send an automatic inspirational text every day. Brian, what's the affirmation app? I think it's Affirmations Daily.
Yeah.
There's a million of them.
Affirmation reminder.
Affirmation reminder. So it'll, during the certain times, you can set it where every 30 minutes it tells you, are you doing what you should be doing, right? So those are some real obstacles. Now, willing our way forward, we talked about some of those items, but we really need to understand every single one of us is more motivated probably right now than we are going to be tomorrow at 9 o'clock when we're making our calls. Don't be naive enough to say, I'm just going to push through it. What are some notes that you could actually think about? I would write these down. What is actually going to force you to make those calls and get switched in? 90% of the effort is getting started. Once you get started, you'll make your calls. But it's getting started that we have to focus on. If you can focus on just making that first dial, what are you going to do that? If you're waking up and you're having trouble hitting that snooze button, you need to focus on getting your feet to the floor. Go put your phone in a bank, not like real bank, like Citizens, like a little safe or something, or a drawer across the way that you actually have to get up and go walk to. You have to be committed to say, to get that alarm to go off, I got to get up and I'm not hitting the bed again. But once your feet hit the floor, 90% of the way, Portia's like, I hear you, Eric.
I'm laughing because I did this one time with my alarm clock. Like I went out, bought an alarm clock, and then I put it on the other side of the bed, like far enough that I thought I would get out the bed. What I did was like, roll over and roll over and roll over. And I just like crunched it until I pulled myself and did it.
Yeah. What are you going to think? You have to spend, I would literally spend 10, 20 minutes of almost like focused meditation on like, why am I going to make sure that I don't hit that snooze at 5 a.m. tomorrow, or 5:30 or 7 a.m. or 10 a.m., whatever time you're waking up. I don't care as long as it's consistent. We need a schedule. So what is going to keep you on task?
Smart light bulbs are great for that, because you can set the timer to like have all your lights come on at a certain time.
There, I like
So that's
that.
what I use, because my phone is always next to me, so
Yeah.
if all the lights turn on at like high, the brightest
Yeah.
they can, I'm gonna get up.
I've never heard that before. I love it.
Smart light
Yeah.
bulbs. It's
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Spend that money on those light bulbs.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Anything else on that last note of willing or weighing our way forward? You could write down in a journal like why you are doing this. Knowing why you are doing it. More importantly, people that work around you knowing their why can be more effective than you. Typically, we will not do things that are helpful to us, but we will help out others. We're willing to help out others ahead of us. That's why we give our cats cat food and we make sure they're on a good diet, yet we'll go eat at McDonald's. But how many of us would give McDonald's to our cats? None of us, right? So we have to think like, who else can we help by doing this? What are some other, who can hold us accountable? You can get into coaching. You can get an accountability partner. By the way, accountability partners, I have found work better one direction, right? So if you're reporting to someone, that's what you want. You want somebody to hold you accountable. You don't hold them accountable back. Every time that's happened, each one holds accountable for about a week until one misses, then the next day both miss, and they're both like, make your calls, Jade? And Jade's like, no, and then I go, yeah, I didn't make mine either. And now it's kind of like defeated. We need to have one-way accountability. All right. Last item that we need to do is what are we actually doing? Name 1 to 2 items that you are actually going to take action on within the next 24 hours and write down when you are doing them. This is probably the most important part of this session. Like, will you actually start to go, hold on, I can't make my calls that I wanted to tomorrow because I got to pick up so and so. Just got another lead. Actually, might be able to double in that too. So what are 1, maybe even up to 3 action items you were going to do? Like, we gave a lot of ideas today. But when are you going to implement these? If you don't know how to implement it, at least set a time to start implementation. I know that sounds crazy. You need to say, okay, tomorrow at 2 o'clock or at 5 o'clock, I'm going to start doing this item or focus on how to become more efficient. But we want actual action items. You just saw what that did for all of us. Also, is there anything in your schedule that you need to start repeating daily? Right, this would be a wake up time. Also important we didn't talk about is going to bed on time. Our phone can really drastically harm us, right? By just watching one more thing on Netflix or whatever our wind down time is. Maybe we need to interrupt that. Remember to make this simple and clear. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Complexity is the enemy of execution. That lead just told me he can meet me today. Give me a key. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone coming today. I hope this was impactful. I hope that a handful of you are selling a handful of homes more by the end of the year. Make sure to come to business planning clinic either at our office or somewhere. Get into business planning clinic. Mike is doing it. It's going to be fantastic. Does anyone know where it's at this year? I forgot. I'm sure it'll be on Facebook. It'll be coming up here soon. Sign up for it. Do not hesitate, right? Indecision is the thief of opportunity. When it comes up, do that. And then also invite those co-pros. Think of that. Who you know that could be impacted by business planning. Like, it's shocking how many agents out there have no idea what their business is going to do next year. It's crazy. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for coming, and we'll sell some homes.
Thank you.
Thank you.